Everyday life in ancient Rome was shaped not only by imperial power and monumental architecture, but by routine, obligation, and repetition. Behind triumphal arches and marble temples existed a steady rhythm of ordinary existence. Millions of inhabitants, artisans, merchants, senators, laborers, women, children, and slaves participated in a social order that was structured, hierarchical, and deeply embedded in tradition. Morning in the city. The Roman day began at dawn. Artificial lighting was limited and costly. Therefore, daily activity followed the movement of the sun. As light spread across tiled rooftops, shopkeepers opened wooden shutters along narrow streets. The ground floors of multi-story apartment buildings, insula, were occupied by workshops and small businesses. Upper floors housed families in modest rented rooms. Life in the insulae was crowded and often precarious. Wooden beams and dense construction made fire a constant threat. Water rarely reached the upper levels, requiring residents to collect it from public fountains supplied by aqueducts. These aqueducts represented remarkable engineering achievements, yet domestic comfort remained unevenly distributed. In contrast stood the domus, the private urban house of the wealthy. Organized around an atrium, a central hall with an opening in the roof, the domus allowed light and rainwater to enter a shallow basin below. Frescoes adorned the walls, depicting mythological scenes, gardens, and architectural illusions. Deeper within lay the peristyle, a columned courtyard with greenery and quiet space for reflection. The Roman household revolved around the paterfamilias, the legally recognized head of the family. He possessed authority over property and kin. Women, while formally under guardianship, often exercised practical influence in managing domestic affairs. Extended family members, freedmen, and enslaved individuals formed part of the broader household structure. Clothing and social identity dress reflected citizenship, status, and respectability. The basic garment for men and women alike was the tunic. Roman male citizens wore the toga on formal occasions, a complex draped garment that symbolized civic belonging. Women of status wore the stola, often accompanied by a mantle known as the palla. Most fabrics were wool or linen. Silk, imported from the East, was rare and expensive. Hairstyles varied across periods, at times becoming elaborate expressions of fashion and wealth. Jewelry signified prosperity and lineage. Work and economy. Economic life centered on the forum and surrounding markets. Vendors sold grain, olives, vegetables, fish, wine, and crafted goods. Bread was a dietary staple, and bakeries formed an essential part of urban life. The Roman state occasionally organized grain distributions for eligible citizens, reinforcing political stability. Artisans frequently joined collegia, associations that regulated trades and fostered mutual support. Blacksmiths, potters, builders, and merchants each contributed to the city's infrastructure. Work generally occupied the early part of the day, particularly in summer, when afternoon heat became intense. Slavery formed a foundational element of Roman society. Enslaved people worked in households, fields, mines, and workshops. Conditions varied widely. Some performed skilled administrative roles, while others endured severe labor. Manumission, the granting of freedom, was possible and created a class of freedmen who remained socially connected to former masters. Education and upbringing. Education depended largely on family wealth. Children of prosperous households studied reading, writing, arithmetic, and literature. Wax tablets and styluses served as common writing tools. Advanced education emphasized rhetoric, the art of persuasive speech, essential for political and legal careers. Physical training also held importance. Exercise cultivated discipline and resilience. qualities valued in Roman civic culture. Meals and domestic ritual. Diet differed according to means. For many, meals consisted of bread, porridge, legumes, vegetables, and olive oil. Fish sauce, known as garum, flavored numerous dishes. Meat appeared less frequently in modest households and more regularly in affluent ones. The principal meal, cena, occurred in the late afternoon or evening. In elite homes, dining became ceremonial. Guests reclined on couches arranged around a low table. Courses were presented sequentially, and conversation accompanied the meal. Wine was almost always diluted with water, as drinking it undiluted was regarded as excessive. Baths and leisure. Public baths, or thermae, were central to Roman daily life. Visitors passed through rooms of varying temperatures, warm, hot, and cold, progressively cleansing the body. Bathing was both hygienic practice and social ritual. Conversations, business discussions, and relaxation occurred within these communal spaces. Entertainment ranged from theatrical performances to chariot races and gladiatorial games. While grand spectacles attracted large audiences, quieter pastimes, board games, reading, poetry recitations, and walks were equally common in everyday experience. Religion permeated daily routines. Households maintained small shrines dedicated to protective spirits known as lares and penates. Offerings were made regularly, linking domestic life with sacred observance. Public festivals structured the calendar year. Rituals affirmed civic identity and reinforced the connection between divine favor and imperial authority. Over time, emperors themselves became integrated into the religious framework of the state, evening and night. As daylight faded, activity diminished. Oil lamps illuminated interiors with soft, flickering light. Streets grew quieter, though complete silence rarely descended upon a city of such scale. Patrols maintained order, and the sounds of distant footsteps echoed against stone. Night brought temporary stillness before the cycle resumed. The rhythm of labor, worship, exchange, and family life continued from one day to the next. Beneath the grandeur of empire, it was this repetition, structured, communal, and enduring, that defined the lived reality of ancient Rome.